My name is Amber. I'm 30 years old, and I've spent most of my adult life being the responsible one in my family. Responsible with money, responsible with emotions, responsible for cleaning up messes I didn't make. I always thought that was just what good daughters did, until the morning my phone lit up with a text that made my stomach flip. I need a new car. Can you cosign? It was from my brother. No, hi. No, how are you? Just another demand wrapped in fake urgency. I stared at the screen, feeling that familiar tug of guilt and obligation trying to drag me under. Instead of caving like I usually did, my thumbs moved before my fear could catch up. Keep dreaming, I typed back. I actually smirked when I hit send. For about 5 minutes, I felt free. Then my screen lit up again. This time, it wasn't him. It was my mom. Her message came through like a threat carved in stone. Refuse and you're cut off from family events. No emojis, no softening, just a line in the sand. In one breath, I went from good daughter to potential outcast, just because I wouldn't sign myself up to be destroyed financially for a car that wasn't mine. And here's the thing. This wasn't the first time I'd been put in this position. It was just the first time I said no. I had no idea that one word would drag up years of secrets, favoritism, and manipulation that my family had been sweeping under the rug. And I definitely didn't know that one phone call I made that night would cost my brother his shiny plans, rip off my mom's perfect mom mask, and finally give me my life back. Before I tell you who I called, what my brother said when he realized I'd ruined his little plan, and what happened when my mom tried to turn the whole family against me, tell me this. What time is it where you are right now? And where are you watching from? I'm honestly curious how far this kind of family drama reaches. You'd think that text was some shocking turning point, but honestly, it was just the loudest symptom of a pattern that had been there for years. On paper, my life looked solid. Full-time marketing job, my own small apartment in New Jersey, decent savings, and a credit score I'd worked hard to repair after one very stupid decision in my early 20s, co-signing for someone I shouldn't have. Guess who? While I was actually working, hitting deadlines, and fighting for promotions, my brother was between jobs more often than he was in one. Somehow, though, everyone acted like he was the one who just needed a little more help to get on his feet, and I was the built-in safety net. The parallel lives hit me hardest on days like that morning. I was on my lunch break at my desk, reviewing a campaign proposal, while my group chat with coworkers buzzed about weekend plans. Out of habit, I opened another tab and checked my bank app. My balance looked fine, but a tiny notification at the top made my heart skip. We've noticed unusual activity related to your personal information. Please review your credit report. My chest tightened. That's the kind of message you never want to see when you've spent years rebuilding your credit. I clicked through, hands suddenly clammy. As I dug in, I noticed a hard inquiry from an auto finance company dated just a few days earlier. Under my name, I hadn't applied for anything. I scrolled further and saw something that made my vision blur for a second. A pre-approval note tied to my social, linked to an address I knew way too well. My parents' house. My mind went straight to that text. I need a new car. Can you cosign? Had he already tried to use my information before even asking me? How many times had my no actually been the last step, not the first? I remembered the time years ago when I'd agreed to co-sign his first used car. He'd missed payments, the lender came after us both, and my credit score tanked. I was the one who hustled, picked up extra freelance work, and cleaned it up. He apologized once, with that boyish grin that used to melt me, then acted like it was ancient history. Looking at that new inquiry on my report, I realized it wasn't ancient history to him. It was a playbook. I thought back to every "I'll pay you back" Every, you know I'm good for it. Every family dinner where my mom praised me for being so mature while simultaneously pushing me to bail him out again. It wasn't just unfair, it was a system. And I was the one funding it. With my money, my time, and my sanity. Have you ever looked back and realized you weren't a good family member? You were just the easiest person to use? That's exactly how it felt. I closed the credit report tab, swallowed hard, and made a quiet decision. If my brother and my mom were comfortable playing games with my financial life, then I was done playing nice. I would get answers, and I would protect myself, even if it meant blowing up the fragile peace my family kept pretending we had. The first person I needed to talk to wasn't my brother or my mom. It was my best friend, Chloe. She'd seen enough of my family drama to read between the lines without me having to explain much. I met her after work at our usual spot, the kind of place where they know your order and don't judge your expression. I sat down, put my phone on the table, and got straight to it. He texted me asking to cosign for a new car, I said. I told him no. Then my mom threatened to cut me off from family events. And when I checked my credit, there's already an auto inquiry under my name I didn't authorize. Chloe's eyebrows shot up so fast it was almost comical. You're kidding. So he didn't just ask? He tried to move forward before you even said yes? I nodded, feeling the anger heat my face. That's what it looks like. And I'm scared to dig further because I'm afraid of what I'll find. She hesitated for a second, then blew out a breath. Okay, I didn't tell you this before because I didn't want to add to your stress, but I think you need to know. Your brother once borrowed money from me too. My stomach dropped. What? It was about a year ago, she said quietly. He messaged me saying he was in a tight spot, that he didn't want to bother you because you were already doing so much. He made it sound temporary. I lent him a decent amount. He never paid me back. Eventually, he stopped mentioning it and dodged the topic. I let it go because I didn't want to mess up our friendship, and I knew you were already dealing with a lot. I stared at her, shocked and weirdly embarrassed, like his behavior reflected on me. Why didn't you tell me? Because every time I saw how your mom talked to you, I realized you were already carrying enough guilt, she said. But him going behind your back and trying to use your credit again? That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. I opened my banking app and credit report again right there at the table, my hands trembling slightly. With Chloe watching, I started scrolling line by line, checking for anything else that looked off. A small store credit card I didn't remember opening. An old phone payment plan linked to my social but never used by me. Each little thing added up to one big truth. This wasn't just helping family. This was exploitation, possibly even fraud. Amber, Chloe said, her voice steady. This is beyond a boundary issue. He's risking your future so he can have what he wants right now. And your mom's threatening you instead of holding him accountable. If it were a stranger doing this, what would you call it? I swallowed. Stealing. Exactly. So why is it different just because they share your last name? That question landed like a slap and a hug at the same time. She was right. It wasn't different. I'd just been trained to see it as family obligations instead of what it really was. You know what hurts the most? I said softly. It's not even the money. It's realizing they feel entitled to my life, like my hard work exists so he doesn't have to grow up. I stared at my phone, at the notifications, at the evidence I couldn't unsee. So what are you going to do? Chloe asked. I met her gaze and, for the first time, I felt something stronger than guilt. Anger, but focused. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to make sure he can't use my name again. I just don't know how yet. She leaned forward. Start with information. Call the credit bureaus. Call the lender that pulled your info. Find out exactly what he tried to do. And Amber, Consider this your line in the sand. No more. Just this once. You've already done more than enough. On the drive home, her words echoed in my head. How many people watching this have that one family member who acts like your wallet and your identity are a community resource? If that's you, you already know. Once you start waking up, it's impossible to go back to sleep. That night, instead of spiraling, I opened my laptop and started making a list. Not of what my brother needed, but of what I needed to protect my credit, to set legal and emotional boundaries, and to finally stop apologizing for not being everyone's savior. The first step was technical. I called the credit bureau listed on the alert and asked about the recent auto inquiry. The woman on the line was calm, professional. Yes, an application was submitted using your name and social, she confirmed. The co-applicant listed is Ethan. Hearing his name attached to my information like that made my stomach twist. Was there a signed consent from me? I asked. We only have a digital application. If you didn't authorize this, you can open a fraud alert and have this flagged. I took a breath. Do it, I said. Please put a fraud alert on my file. After that call, I dialed the finance company itself. The rep sounded surprised when I explained I hadn't applied. So you're saying your brother submitted this without your consent? He asked. Yes, I said, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. And I will not be responsible for anything in his name. Please note that clearly. By the time I hung up, one thing was clear. If my brother was willing to use my identity, he was willing to risk my future. The one call I was going to make couldn't just be emotional. It had to change the power dynamics. So I called someone my family never expected me to involve. My Aunt Linda, my mom's older sister. She's the quiet one at family gatherings, the one who actually listens more than she talks. What most people in the family forget is that she's also a financial advisor. Hey, honey, she answered, surprised to hear from me at night. Everything okay? Not really, I said, and then I told her everything. The text, the threat from my mom, the unauthorized inquiry, the old Cosign disaster, the money he'd borrowed from my friend behind my back. I didn't dramatize it. I just laid out the facts like a case. She was silent for a long moment. Then she said, I've suspected something like this for a while. Your mother talks about how generous you are, but every time I hear it as used. So what do? I finally asked. If I keep saying yes, I'm done. But if I say no, I might lose my family. No, she corrected gently. If you say no, you might lose their ability to manipulate you. That's not the same thing as losing your family. And if some of them choose to walk away because you won't be abused, that's on them. She then suggested something I hadn't considered. Do you want me there when this comes out? At the next family gathering, I mean. Because if your mother tries to spin this, it shouldn't just be your word against hers. Especially when there are financial records involved. I blinked, stunned. You'd do that? Amber, protecting yourself is not revenge, but letting the truth come out so everyone stops pretending? That's long overdue. After we hung up, I froze my credit, changed every important password, and made digital copies of everything. Credit reports, bank alerts, even screenshots of the text messages. I created a folder titled Evidence, not because I wanted to destroy anyone, but because for once, I wanted to walk into a family situation armed with facts instead of just feelings. Later, on a late call with my friend Sarah, who'd grown up with her own toxic sibling dynamics, I confessed what scared me most. What if I really do end up alone? I whispered. What if they pick him over me? She didn't sugarcoat it. Some of them might, she said. But ask yourself this. Is staying chosen by people who only value you as a resource really better than being alone for a while you rebuild with healthier connections? I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how many people watching this have stayed in a broken family system just to avoid being the one who caused drama. The truth is, the drama was already there. I had just finally decided to stop playing my assigned role, and that one call to my aunt, that was the moment things started shifting out of my mom's control and into mine. The confrontation with my brother wasn't cinematic at first. There was no storm, no dramatic slam of doors. Just me knocking on my parents' front door on a Saturday afternoon, with my heart pounding and a USB drive in my pocket like it was a weapon. He was on the couch, scrolling his phone, looking as relaxed as ever. "Hey," he said, like nothing had happened. "You ready to talk like a reasonable person now?" That word, reasonable, almost made me laugh. "Yeah," I said calmly. "Let's talk." I sat across from him, opened my laptop on the coffee table, and pulled up the PDF of my credit report. "You applied for a car loan using my information," I began, "without my consent." He frowned. "Whoa, relax. It was just a pre-approval thing. I was going to talk to you. I just wanted to see if it would even go through." "You already texted me asking me to cosign," I reminded him. "So which was it? You testing the waters or just planning to drag me in after the paperwork was done?" He rolled his eyes. "You're being dramatic. It's not that deep." I clicked another file, a list of transactions and old accounts I'd pulled. The store card, the old phone plan. Those are all tied to my information too. You signed my name on at least one of them. That's fraud. His body language shifted from smug to defensive. "Everybody does that. Mom said it was fine. She said you wouldn't mind because you always help family. And you're acting like I'm some criminal just because I needed a car." "You didn't need a car," I shot back. "You wanted a new one. You crashed the last one. You've skipped jobs. And instead of fixing your life, you're trying to use mine as collateral. I've spent years rebuilding this, and I'm done letting you burn it for short-term comfort." His face hardened. "So what? You're turning on me now? After everything we've been through?" "What exactly have we been through?" I asked quietly. "That didn't involve me bailing you out?" He opened his mouth, then shut it. His silence said more than any excuse could. I leaned forward. "I've already frozen my credit. I've flagged your last application as unauthorized. And I called someone who knows how this works." His eyes narrowed. "Who?" "Aunt Linda," I said. "She knows the whole story. She's seen the documents. And she'll be at the family BBQ tomorrow." He stood up abruptly. "You told her? Why would you drag her into this? You're trying to embarrass me in front of everyone." "No," I replied. "I'm done covering for you. I'm not lying or hiding this anymore. If our family is going to keep pretending everything is fine, they need to see the cost of that pretending." He paced, running his hand through his hair. "This is messed up, Amber. You're making a huge deal out of nothing. We're family. You're supposed to help me." "I did," I said, "for years. And what did you do with that help? You lived in the basement, lied to people, borrowed money you never paid back. You even used my friend, then ghosted the debt." His face flushed. "She told you?" "Of course she did," I said. "She's my friend. And I'm finally acting like I'm my own friend too." He scoffed, resorting to his usual weapon, shame. "You think you're better than us now with your job and your laptop and your boundaries? You're just selfish." That word stung, but only for a second. "No," I answered. "I'm just done being the victim." I closed the laptop and stood. "Tomorrow, you're going to have to explain yourself to more people than just me. And for once, I won't be jumping in to smooth things over." As I walked out, my phone buzzed with a new message from my mom. "Remember what I said. Don't humiliate your brother tomorrow. This family needs peace." I stared at the screen and wondered how many people watching this have had peace used as a gag to keep them quiet. Because the next day, the only thing I planned to make was the truth and maybe a little necessary chaos. The family BBQ started like every other one. Too much food, kids running around, relatives pretending everything was fine, even when it clearly wasn't. The only difference this time was that I walked in, knowing I wasn't going to shrink myself to keep everyone comfortable. My Aunt Linda caught my eye from across the yard and gave me a subtle nod. My mom fluttered around, greeting people with her usual warm smile that never quite reached her eyes when she looked at me. "Amber," she said, pulling me aside near the drinks table, "we're not doing this today. Your brother is under a lot of pressure. He needs support, not a public interrogation." "He needed honesty a long time ago," I replied. "And so did I." Before she could respond, my aunt joined us. "Actually," Linda said, mild but firm, "I think today is the perfect time for some clarity. Hiding things hasn't helped anyone." My mom stiffened. "I don't know what you think you know, but this is a private matter between me, Amber, and her brother." "It stopped being private when his choices started damaging her credit and her future," my aunt countered, "and when you threatened to cut her off for protecting herself." The words hung in the air like smoke. My mom's cheeks flushed. "You told her that?" She hissed at me. "You're making me look like a monster." "You did that yourself when you made my attendance at family events conditional on me risking financial ruin," I said quietly. "If you're so confident you were right, why are you afraid of people hearing the whole story?" A few relatives were starting to look over, sensing the tension. My aunt glanced at them, then back at my mom. "Maybe we should sit down," she suggested. "All of us, before rumors start flying." We ended up at the big picnic table, me, my brother, my parents, a couple of aunts and uncles who'd wandered over, and Linda at the head like an unofficial mediator. My heart raced, but I forced myself to speak clearly. "I'm going to say this once," I began. "My brother applied for a car loan using my information without my consent. He's opened or tried to open accounts tied to my name before. He's borrowed money from people close to me and never paid it back. When I said no to Cosign this time, my mom threatened to cut me off from the family. That's the truth." My brother jumped in, defensive. "You're exaggerating. I was going to tell you about the application. I just needed to know if it would work. And the money stuff, things just got tight. I didn't mean to." "This isn't about what you meant," Linda interrupted, her voice still calm. "It's about what you did, and about the pattern. I've seen Amber's reports. I've seen the accounts. This is not a misunderstanding." "Tal?" My mom tried to salvage control. "We help each other in this family. Sometimes lines blur, but it's because we love each other. Amber is being influenced by people who don't understand how close we are." "Mom," I said, feeling years of swallowed words rising. "If this is what close looks like, me carrying everyone's consequences while you threaten to exile me for saying no, maybe we're not as healthy as you think." An uncle cleared his throat. "Wait, did you really tell her she'd be cut off from family events?" My mom faltered. "I just said things would be different." I was upset. "You wrote it," I said, pulling up the message on my phone. "All caps, refuse, and you're cut off from family events." My aunt looked around the table. "This isn't about shaming anyone. It's about stopping the harm. Amber has every right to refuse to cosign anything. She has every right to protect her credit. And she has every right not to be punished socially for that." My brother leaned forward, eyes desperate now. "So what? Everyone's just going to gang up on me?" "No," Linda said, "but there have to be consequences. Real ones. Not just emotional guilt." She turned to my parents. "You two have been covering for him for years, financially and emotionally. That stops today. He needs to talk to a real financial counselor, get on a repayment plan, and take responsibility. Not drag his sister down with him." For once, my dad spoke up, his voice low but firm. "She's right," he said. I've stayed quiet too long. I've watched Amber work her tail off while we keep telling him, next time you'll do better. And next time never comes. I'm done pretending this is normal. The table went silent. My mom looked genuinely shaken, like the ground under her had shifted. You're all turning on us, she whispered. On me? No, I said gently but firmly. We're just refusing to keep turning on me. Have you ever watched the power in a room shift in real time? It's subtle, but you feel it. My brother realized he wasn't the default golden boy anymore. My mom realized her control by guilt strategy had finally met a wall. And I realized, for the first time, that I wasn't standing alone. So what now? My brother muttered. My aunt answered. Now, you pay back what you owe. You fix what you can. You accept that Amber is not your cosigner, your backup plan, or your financial shield. She looked at me. And you, Amber, hold your boundary. No cosigning. No secret bailouts. No taking calls from lenders on his behalf. You're allowed to live your own life. It was messy. It was uncomfortable. It was everything my family had avoided for years. But under all the discomfort, I felt something new. Justice. Not revenge for revenge's sake, but the kind of justice that finally stops a cycle. The fallout didn't happen overnight. Real life isn't a movie where one confrontation magically fixes everything. But that day cracked something open that couldn't be closed again. Within a month, my brother's attempted car deal fell through completely. The fraud alert and frozen credit meant he couldn't slide my name into anything. He had to face the fact that he'd burned his own options. My aunt helped my parents set up a meeting with a financial counselor. For him, not for me. He hated it. He complained. He tried to spin it as everyone ganging up on him. But when my dad quietly told him, we're not co-signing for anything either, the message finally landed. Actions now had consequences. As for my mom, the shift was slower and more complicated. At first, she was cold with me. Short texts, delayed replies, passive-aggressive comments about how money changes people. I kept my distance but didn't completely cut contact. I just refused to step back into my old role. No late-night calls to lend just this once. No guilt-driven transfers. No showing up to smooth over his outbursts. One afternoon, she asked to meet me alone. No brother. No aunts. Just us at a small table, her hands wrapped tightly around a cup she barely sipped. I felt betrayed, she admitted, eyes downcast. You went to Linda. You exposed our mess in front of everyone. I thought you wanted to humiliate me. I didn't, I said honestly. I wanted to stop being humiliated quietly. Every time you made my worth depend on how much I could sacrifice. She flinched at that, then nodded slowly. I didn't see it that way. I kept telling myself I was protecting the family. Your brother has always struggled. I thought if you, the strong one, could just help him a bit longer, he'd eventually find his footing. He never had to, I replied, because you never made him. You made me. She was quiet for a long time. Then she did something I'd waited my whole life to see. She took responsibility. I was wrong to threaten you, she said, voice shaking. I was wrong to make you feel like love depended on what you could give. I was wrong to let him use your name. And I was wrong to talk about you like you were selfish when you finally said no. I'm sorry. The apology didn't erase everything, but it allowed something new to grow. Not instant trust, but the possibility of it. If you're really sorry, I said gently, then back me when I say no. Not just about money, about anything that crosses my boundaries, because that is the only way this changes. She nodded, tears finally spilling over. Okay, she whispered. I can try. Months later, the family dynamic looks different. Not perfect. Different. My brother has a cheap used car he pays for himself. No one co-signed. He works a job he doesn't love, but he shows up because there's no soft place to land anymore. Some days he's distant with me, still bitter. Other days he sends short texts like, paid another installment today. It's not an apology, but it's a start. My mom doesn't threaten me with being cut off anymore. She actually checks herself mid-sentence sometimes, like she's catching old patterns before they come out. At a recent family gathering, she did something that shocked me. In front of everyone, she said, "I'm proud of Amber for standing up for herself. I didn't make that easy for her." You know that feeling when revenge stories end with someone getting what they deserve? This wasn't that cinematic. No one got arrested. No one was disowned. But my brother lost the easy path. My mom lost the illusion of control, and I lost the role of family doormat. Honestly, that was the only revenge I really needed. These days, when my phone buzzes, I don't feel dread. I know that if a message crosses a line, I can say no without apologizing. I can block, step back, or walk away if I have to. I'm building a life where my hard work benefits me, not just the most irresponsible person in the room. So let me ask you this. Now that you've heard my story, if your family made your love conditional on sacrificing your future, would you keep paying the price? Or would you do what I did and make the one call that changes everything? Because sometimes the real revenge isn't destroying anyone, it's refusing to let them destroy you anymore.